Was Christopher Lee the inspiration for James Bond? Now, there is a long video on my channel about this, but let's do a short because this is really interesting. Now, this rumour has been floating around on the internet for a while. So Ian Fleming and Christopher Lee, this is Christopher Lee who played Saruman, who was Scaramanga, incredible actor, and he knew Ian Fleming. They were step cousins, but more than that, they were actually friends. They used to golf together, and allegedly there's a rumour on the internet that Christopher Lee was the inspiration for Bond. Now, Christopher Lee did have an incredible war service. He was of the right age. He was in the RAF. Ian Fleming himself was in the Navy, and obviously we know that James Bond was a naval officer. Now, someone of Ian Fleming's generation would have known loads and loads of people that saw service, both in the First World War, the guys that would have been older than him, but also plenty of people, his own, brothers in the Navy, but also people from all around would have been just like Christopher Lee, who saw some sort of service. Christopher Lee, of course, had an incredible service record. We don't really know what he did because he was quite secretive about it. And that's one of the things that has fueled this rumour, I think, that he was the inspiration for Bond, because he's kind of left it to the imagination of what he was doing. This is me, I'm behind. This is the YouTube thumbnail because there is a longer video on YouTube if you're interested. But I think it's probably much more likely that Ian Fleming, being a naval officer, Christopher Lee in the RAF, was actually drawing from his own experience rather than, the experiences of Christopher Lee. What is interesting though, and I touch on this in my video, is that Ian Fleming's father, his name was Major Valentine Fleming. He was an MP and he was killed in France in the First World War. And so it's a really nice and touching thing that I was thinking about. Like, you don't need, I talk about this in the video, but do you know James Barrie, who wrote Peter Pan? There's been some suggestion that he based the character of Peter Pan off his brother. His younger brother died as a boy, and so there's always been this really nice suggestion that that's why he created the boy that never grows up, because he had a brother that didn't grow up. And obviously James Bond is bulletproof, he's a serviceman who never dies, and obviously Ian Fleming grew up with a father who died in the First World War, and it's kind of nice to think that maybe he based some of the invincibility of James Bond from losing his father. So if you want to see more, check out the YouTube channel. I'd love to know your thoughts.